This is part 2 of the object study on alien object spotted in deep space. In the previous video I was showing this square object. Seems like a Borg-like ship, like on Star Trek Next Generation. It's funny, but they had a object or people called the Borg. That this object in space reminds me of that, so that's why I call this the Borg. But anyway, it's very interesting, this object, because again, I'll remind you, you can see the line where the mosaic of the photos are put together by the computer. It takes the thousands of photos that make up the night sky. You can see that line here. And we'll go over here and see that actual object is actually blocking the light of a star from behind it, or if those are even stars. I think they're objects that are accompanying this object, whatever it may be, but the lights that are on the object are kind of profound. Numerous in the detail. As you can see, the colors and the shapes of the architecture of this thing must be immense. So it looks like separate domes of light coming off the object, like dome structures or something. See all this structure in here doesn't make sense when it comes to an anomaly on the film. This looks like an anomaly that's actually in the photograph, an actual object. Part of the reason being all these shapes in the shapes. There's too much information going on inside all that tells me that this object's actually in there. It's not an anomaly that would be found in the information, because that information is highly accurate with the way the camera takes the image and puts them together. This is how accurate it is, like on a laser beam scale level, where the computer is so highly accurate it can pinpoint the accuracy all the way down to less than a millionth of a micron of an inch. So for that to be the case, whatever all this other information is, all this other light and all these other geometrical shapes must actually really be there, for there to be all this color, all this shape, and all that texture, and all this information in the points of light that actually come from all that information. See all these squares, or these crosses right here, are all individual reference points to a bright point of light. And there's just too many of them involved. As you can see, all these cross areas here within all these areas of light are individual points of light. See all those different points of light? So you're gonna have a hard time explaining this to me, especially when they have all these different shapes and colors and points of light along the edge of that photo that was taken and compiled in a. See, the computer does all this, but nobody's discovered these objects, I don't think. But these objects are very profound looking. We'll go and see another one real fast. It's not the only one I found. There's other square objects in different points of the sky that appear to be in different shadow ranges of where they're at. See, like we zoom back and then we zoom into that area, we see a nebula area over here to the side. See areas here. But when we get down into the image, we actually see there is an actual object in the image that's actually blocking light from behind it along the edge. See the edge here? You can clearly see the edge blocking that light. How come the edge of the film is right here, off of that edge? See what I'm saying? And then on top of that, you have all these points of light and all this shadow and structure and the architecture of this image. It's like puzzle pieces fitting together, pieces of like machines and parts or whatever, just whatever makes up the surface of this structure. It must be an immense architectural feat to be able to create this. But you can see lights are actually attached to it, and the range of shadow also. See how it's lighter here but darker here, lighter here, and the darkness behind it, and all contrast to itself, thus placing this object in the photo, not part of an anomaly or something, some kind of glitch on the computer. I don't believe that. It wouldn't be that. It would actually be an object actually there, that we're seeing light on the object coming from nearby stars, and also areas of the actual object that are lit up on its own that look like highly complex areas of interest here, like dome structures, probably windows or some citadel of some kind of like a center or something, like a energy sources or power plants or something, whatever that is. It's pretty crazy looking to me because of all this information in here, all these shadows and all these different contours of color and points of light. It's amazing. And we'll go to another one so we can show you one that's turned on. This one's like it's out cold. There's another Borg-off that's not turned on, but it's similar in structure and similar in dimension, but the actual texture of the outer surface is totally different than the other one. But again, we can see that it's actually blocking light in the background here. And here. But it appears that it has actual structure to it, and texture, and design. This is just maybe a older version of the same thing, maybe, or a newer version, maybe even. Here's another one that's turned off, but it's in a different shadow of color. And I also noticed on some of these that the points of light on these change from time to time when I visit these to study them. I've noticed markings on here that appear there sometimes and then they're not there in other times, and some of those markings look like some sort of writing or some sort of symbolism or something. And I noticed that these points of light change pretty frequently, and I don't understand that when it comes to this imagery. It's all supposed to be compiled photographs of a point in time when the camera took that picture of space, and it compiled several thousand images together. how come this point in time looks so different than the other points in time? So it leads me to believe that this is caused through some other form of technology, maybe trying to communicate with us from far off distances with some form of technology that they may have. I'll go to the one that looks like it's turned on again. Looks like it's lit up with internally, because areas of it still show a lot of points of light that don't make sense when it comes to normal points of light in the sky when you look at them. Why does this have so much color and so much structure and so much blend of different hues of color all in the same region, and all that structure and architecture where it looks like buildings or something, or platforms of whatever pieces this together, and however they would create some structure like this is pretty amazing. But it seems to be trying to tell us something in the geometrics of all this information. It may be schematics to, or mathematical communication or something. Maybe they're trying to communicate with us through this, some sort of hologram that's been placed in our camera's view or something. Because when the picture was taken, it might have been set to put this information in the sky, so that way it makes us aware that they're even there, maybe even, or this may be some sort of like communication, like I said, to teach us things, or maybe there's something to all this that maybe if we study it closer and understand it, we'll be able to get to a point where we could show that we're capable of understanding the technology. Because you got to think about it, we have our technology and we have our place in the universe as a race of beings that's intelligent enough to figure out how to have car keys and space shuttles and pencils and stuff like that. So what's going to make us think that the probabilities that other forms of life might be existing in the galaxy or in the universe altogether, given the amount of elements that we have on the periodic table of elements? It's pretty common in all the elements, because of the fact that we now know that all those elements are created when a star explodes. So if all the stars in the sky are actually made up of all the elements that are made when other stars explode, then that would lead us to believe that the abundance of all the elements that we know, and even more elements that we don't know of, are abundant throughout the universe. So every element that actually goes towards the creation of our solar system, it would stand to reason that every solar system out there has a system of planets that formed in the same correlation of events that created our solar system, and so on and so forth throughout the galaxy, over trillions of stars. The probabilities that there would be other Earths and other planets that could sustain life are pretty much probable, just through the law of averages, that given 80 trillion stars in our galaxy, the probabilities that there would be other Earths just like Earth, given every scenario that we can come up with to say why Earth has life on it, we could put all that together and still be able to say that there would be literally thousands of other planet Earths out there, just because of the law of averages in math. The number 80 trillion is such an outstanding number that 1% chance that there was another planet Earth out there, that would call for